Good evening. I am Mike Meekhof, and thank you for watching Meekhof Primetime on M7 Sports. We will announce our results for the M7 Sports 2020 Gridiron Player of the Year fan vote a little later on in the show, so please stay tuned. We're a little less than a week into this 3-week pause, and it's been hard for a lot of us. This whole year has been hard for a lot of us, but I'd like to start off where I left off last Wednesday. Unless you absolutely have to, I cannot stress it enough. Please limit your social circle for these next 3 weeks. And when you do have to go out, please wear a mask and social distance. These kids deserve the opportunity to finish out what they started and deserve a chance at a state championship. In order for that to happen, we all really need to do our part as a state these next 3 weeks. I know that the MHSAA wants to give their teams the best chance at a season ending as possible. So please do your part to make sure they have that ending. Next, I'd like to welcome a coach who currently has his team playing in the regional championship and is undefeated at 9-0, Mona Shores football coach Matt Koziak, to talk about the season so far and what may or may not come next. So first, I'd like to get into the football season. It got postponed last week, when you guys were on a roll. I mean, how much of a mental impact is this having on your kids?
I think, quite a bit. I think it's had a impact on all kids. It's just something that's so out of the ordinary, and no one could expect it. And, back to in, the summer when they first canceled it and then brought it back. And it's just been that kind of year where kids have had to kind of overcome this goofy adversity and get used to it being so odd with the way things have had. I mean, their whole season has been kind of upside down with the shields on their cages and their masks, but they got to have a football season, which was obviously number one, fantastic for those, especially the seniors.
So how much communication have you had with your players, since the shutdown was announced? Have you guys been doing Zoom meetings or any of that stuff?
Yeah. We had a meeting before we shut down, the school shut down Tuesday. We had a meeting with our kids Monday and just kind of told them, kind of gave them a calendar and workout schedule. We had a Zoom meeting. Usually we watch film with the kids on Sundays at 1. So I wanted to try to keep it as normal as possible. So we had a Zoom meeting with the kids at 1 and just kind of it's so hard to keep in contact with them. Most coaches get in this profession for the relationship piece. Obviously, coaching the game of football is great, and wins and losses and being able to coach on Friday nights is great. But the relationship piece is number one for coaches usually. And to have that void where you're spending all this time with them since June or, whenever we were allowed to come back, and then all of a sudden kind of snap your fingers and you're done. It's tough. So the best we can do right now is Zoom meetings, and we had one on Sunday.
So, have you guys assigned workouts and stuff they could be doing from home in order to stay in shape in case it does come back?
Yeah, we like I said, we came up with a calendar and tried to, as best as you can, nothing can really duplicate or emulate football practice and how they run around. And I mean, it seems in football practice, they're always running around. So that's hard to duplicate. And so you try your best and you give them a workout, and hopefully the kids are doing it. You try to stress out about how important that is to make sure you're staying in shape, especially cardio wise. So yes, we give them a workout and hopefully they're getting it done.
So the MHSAA announced plans last Wednesday to resume fall sports, in mid-December. What do you think of these plans if the stars aligned right? How hard would it be to ask your kids to come back after 3 weeks, a little to no practice and structure? And do you think they're realistic given the circumstances around COVID right now?
That's a great question. I've kind of gone back and forth on that with, the shutdown and kids coming back, and after 3 weeks of no football practice. And, I guess my answer to that is, if it can be done, then let's do it. I know there's going to be a lot of moving pieces to that with what the weather's doing and how that's going to react. And, we actually talked about that in our Zoom meeting about the teams that will probably have the most success is the ones that were able to kind of stay in shape and keep working over that break. And so I do think the MHSAA and Mike Ewell has every intention of trying to make it work. I think they've done a great job with that. What that's going to look like, I don't know. I guess my answer to that would be if we can finish it, let's finish it. And I hope that the stars kind of align for us to do that.
So, if this is the end, it'd be disappointing, obviously, to not have the shot of winning it all. But what are some of the biggest accomplishments and memories made this year that your kids will never forget?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've actually had time to reflect on that because I remember, when it shut down last week, and you're kind of like, oh no, what, poor us, and why'd they do this, and then some time away, you gain some perspective on it of they got to have a season this year, which almost didn't happen. We got to our kids played really well this year. Went 9-0. They're the first so far team to finish undefeated, even though it's not finished yet. And they got to play in some really cool football games at New Hackley Stadium. Martin Luther King got to come to Mona Shore Stadium. Who would have thought that? And then to play 3 playoff games to get that in. And so I'm going to take that, also to be the first AP poll for our kids to be ranked number 1 and be able to defend that all year with that bullseye, being defending state champs and then being ranked number 1. That's a lot of pressure for high school kids, and I thought our kids handled it very well. And what I'll take away from this season is how resilient our kids have been through it all. Not knowing if you're going to have a game on Friday, because we actually had 2 games canceled due to COVID, one with Wyoming, one with Zeeland West, and so we had to find opponents for those 2 weeks, and just our kids to stay the course and stay focused. And whoever we played Friday night, we brought our best game. And so those are some things I'll take away from the season.
So I asked Bryce the same question when he was on the show last week, but Brady Rose is in the running right now for our Player of the Year award that's going to be announced right after this. MLive's Michigan Player of the Year award and state champs Mr. Football. Make your case for why you should win all 3. You've been very vocal about, why you think he's the best player in Michigan.
Yeah, there's a lot of great players are on that list. A lot of great players are on that list, and our case for Brady Rose is what he does at every position he's on. He punts for us. He's our starting free safety. Last game he had 16 tackles in the Caledonia game. He returns punts for us, returns kickoffs. I say the only time he's never on the field is when we kick the ball off. But lately in the playoffs, during crucial moments, we've actually subbed him onto the kickoff team. So there literally isn't a spot where he doesn't play offense, defense, and all specialties. And not only does he do that, because a lot of high school kids do that, he does it very well. And we like to think when he's on the field, he's the best player at any position that he plays. And I know some teams have the luxury of being able to platoon where they got a guy that plays quarterback, that they have some players where he doesn't need to play defense. Well, in our case, we do need him to play all the time, and he does it well. And I think I've always made the argument where the award is called Mr. Football, not Mr. Quarterback or Mr. Safety or Mr. Stats. It's Mr. Football, and I think Brady Rose, if there's ever been a Mr. Football, I think he fits that category very well.
What are your plans for Thanksgiving?
Oh, yeah, that's going to be tricky this year. I have I'm very blessed to have my parents still around, and we're trying to take this COVID thing seriously. My parents are 69 and 70 years old, so we want to make sure we're being safe, and having kids in elementary schools and being around multiple kids, and my wife and I, both educators, being around kids, we're going to be safe and stay at home and try to do the Zoom thing with the families. I know a lot of families are sacrificing that this Thanksgiving. So I also have 2 brothers with their families. We're going to try to do the Zoom meetings, even though usually we get together. But circumstances have changed for this year, and hopefully it's only this year. But we're going to try to do the stay at home and be safe thing.
Yeah, we were planning on going up to Wisconsin, but we had to cancel ours a couple weeks ago, because there was some COVID scares, just between different, like the amount of people we've been around and stuff, but we really need to take the safe approach to this in order to save lives and give kids the best chance to finish this out. Thanks so much for joining us, Coach. We really appreciate it.
You bet, Mike. Thanks for having me.
So next we have our final fan poll results for our 2020 M7 Sports Gridiron Player of the Year Award. The top 5 finishers from the fan vote will receive an M7 Sports t-shirt and certificate and move on to the coaches and media vote to determine the winner that will be announced on the show a week from today. The winner will receive a plaque and an M7 Sports t-shirt. Now, here are the results. In first place, we have Tyrese Oaks from Muskegon with 474 votes. Brady Rose from Mona Shores with 429 votes. Marco Fields from Reese Puffer with 357 votes. Gavin Reeves from Fruitport with 303 votes. Also, Tommy Cartes from Muskegon Catholic Central with 303 votes. So that's the top 5 right there. They will all get an M7 Sports t-shirt, a certificate, and they will go into the coaches and media poll to determine the winner. Now in sixth place, Austin Hawkins from Holton, 264 votes. Jacob Haynes from Whitehall with 248 votes. Brennan Panucci from North Muskegon with 211 votes. Steve Reddy from Spring Lake with 180 votes. Gage Lamidline from Oak Ridge with 153 votes. Blake Bosma from West Ottawa with 95 votes. Darius Williams from Orchard View with 80 votes. Joel Emery from Ravenna with 61 votes. Drew Collins from Montague with 59 votes. Gabe Prado from Hesperia with 57 votes. Braden Karskaden from Hart with 38 votes. Owen Worthington from Grand Haven with 22 votes. Andon Grigg from Holland with 10 votes. And Isaac Abig from Shelby with 3 votes. Congratulations to our top 5 finishers. You will receive your certificate and M7 Sports t-shirt once this lockdown is over. And we will announce our winner here from a week from now on this show at 8 o'clock. So please stay tuned. Our next guest is Lorenzo Rodriguez, who just resigned as head football coach from Shelby. He finishes a great 16-year tenure with the Tigers with a 59-84 record, 5 playoff appearances, 4 conference championships, and 2 state semifinal appearances. Thanks for joining us, Coach. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. So talk about your decision to resign after 16 years from Shelby. What were the biggest factors that went into that decision?
Well, I'd spent closer to 20 years there as assistant / head coach. Did a lot of great things there over the years. I felt that it was time for maybe a new direction, a new leader, a new face to maybe get the program a spark. I've always had a game plan in mind of where I was going to be down the road as far as once my son graduated. I want to try some go down some different avenues as far as coaching goes. Possibilities out there that I'm looking at would be something I wanted to try, something different. 20 years, closer to 20 years there in coaching in this area. I always thought that maybe a bigger high school or maybe the next level would be something I'd like to try someday.
So you had a lot of great memories to look back on at Shelby. What were some of the best memories that stood out to you during your time there?
Some of the best memories are, just talking to people that had been part of my program in the past, community members. Some of the things they've come up with, over the years, you tend to forget some of that stuff. But some of the people were talking about the first parent meeting I had the first year I took over in 2006 as a head coach, when I started mentioning things like, our expectations need to be high. We want to be at the top of this West Michigan Conference. And at that time, the Oak Ridges and the Montagues were winning, getting close to winning state championships, if not won one in the recent times. And people looked at me and they were thinking, what's wrong with this guy? Does he know where he's at? Type situation, and those were things that I truly believed in. And when we brought on the staff, we were definitely shooting for those things. And it wasn't too long afterwards that we were competing for co-championships, outright championships at the WMC. And that's saying something as far as the program goes. Winning the WMC is something to be proud of.
So when you got to Shelby, it wasn't a very good program, like you just mentioned. But over the first few years, you had it rolling. You either won outright or a share of 4 straight West Michigan Conference titles and went to 2 straight semifinals in 2012 and 2013. And then all of a sudden, you guys kind of fell off the rails as you guys have only won 4 games since then total. So what factors do you think went into the upswing, and what factors do you think went into the decline?
The upswing was the numbers were there. Football was at a high. It was exciting. Like I said, the programs around us were winning state championships, if not getting close to those. So the area was really excited about football. I think we came at the right time. We had a good group of kids to work with. The numbers were there, which are huge, and that's important. And I'll mention that here in a minute of how it affects you positively and negatively. I think it affected us positively because of the fact that it creates a healthy competitive environment in your practice within your program from top to bottom. And we were able to come in and do some great things with some good coaches and the support of the community and our administration. And not that our administration doesn't support us now, but the big factor there is, as we started to see the decline, we started to see the decline in enrollment at Shelby as a whole. And we started to see the decline in our athletics as a whole also. And that's huge. Like I said, when you create a healthy competitive environment, when there's a 1 and a 2 and a 3 at a tackle position, let's per se, it creates a competition, and you're pushing each other to get to the next level as far as competitiveness, and you want to keep your starting job. So that creates that healthy competition that I talk about. And when we started to see it go down, we seen the numbers go down overall, and we started to see our performance and our wins and losses on Friday nights start to come down real quick.
So when I think of Lorenzo Rodriguez, I think of a fierce competitor, that hates to lose. Did that stretch from 2014 to now take a toll on you and some of the kids mentally? And what made you decide to stay this long?
The competitor in me, like you said, I believe I could win every game. I mean, that's just the competitor in me. And I still believe we should have won all those games, and you won't change my mind. You won't make me think any different, especially being the leader of a program. If you don't think that, who's going to? And if you're not going to be the leader with that positive mentality and that leadership that it takes to win as a program, and with the longevity that you're looking for, what are you doing there in the first place? Is my thought process, and that'll never change. I think I can match wits with any coach, which I respect every coach in WMC, because you had to have your game plan together, and you better be ready every Friday night, because if not, you're going to look at the 70-0 scores. So definitely it did take a toll. The competitor in me didn't let things go on Friday night after I came home. The Saturdays and Sundays after losses, I'm still mulling over week 1 this year, how we could have did something different to give our kids the opportunity. And for me, it's always been about the Shelby football. It was there before I got there. It'll be there, after I leave type deal. It was always about Shelby football, the program, and the kids that came through it. And we wanted to always give those guys a fair opportunity. And I do walk away with my head held high, saying my staff with Phil Fortier and Corey Phelps and Graham Herron and Tom Brozek and Forrest Courtwright, those guys that have been with me for a number of years, they did everything possible as far as the coaching staff preparation goes, and putting a game plan together week to week. We spent a number of hours game planning week to week to be able to provide the kids with the best opportunity to go out there and compete.
So, there's a lot of coaches when they decide to step down, or players when they decide to retire, there's a moment they can say they know it was time to call it. What was there a moment for you that you knew that this would be your last season?
The moment came into play really when I met with my athletic director and handed him my resignation letter and handed him my keys. When I walked away there, yes, it was bittersweet by any means. When you spend that much time in one place and you build them relationships over the years, yes, it's very emotional. I walked away emotional. I'm not too proud to say that. I walked away and I said to myself, but yet at the same time, I felt a relief. I felt like, okay, I can go in a different direction. I can look in a different direction, and I'm comfortable with that.
I don't know if I've ever seen any coach with more confidence than you. You know, like every week you text me and say I was going to get one of my picks wrong and I was going to not picking you guys to win.
Definitely,
What gave you that? What gave you the confidence though? Because I know a lot of coaches that coach at struggling programs and they literally tell me, I don't think we're going to win. I don't think we're going to win 4 games or something like that. What gave you that confidence that you thought you were going to win every single game you guys played?
Because of the preparation that we gave our kids, and our kids worked hard. I mean, when you see us in practice, you've come to our practice at times. Our practices are bang bang, and they're structured just like anything. I do my homework. I've spent time with the Ralph Mungers of the world, with the Pete Sturzmans of the world, and watch how other people's successful programs do their thing. And I felt like we were doing the right thing, and we were preparing the right way. Our scouting reports were spot on. There was nothing that our kids weren't seeing during the week, whether it be on film and matching it up with what we had on a scouting report that wasn't, like I said, spot on. We try to emulate our programs against, like the Oak Ridges and the Montagues of the world. We watch from a distance on how those guys are doing things. We go to the coaches' clinics. We go and talk to people. We weren't just sitting there saying, poor us, we're losing ball games. No, we were scratching and clawing and fighting for every inch of the way to compete and to win. And that's what the game is about. People say, it's not all about winning. I don't see too many people walk off the field very happy, jumping for joy when you get beat on a Friday night. Not that there's no respect in that fact. You got to win, and you got to lose some. But I tell you what, putting your heart and soul on the line on a Friday night, I tell you what, I can walk away happy on a Friday night when I know that my kids gave me everything they got, and they executed the plan the best we could to the best of their abilities.
So now that your time's up at Shelby, what's next for you? Are you going to coach football again? How soon?
At this point, I have not gotten to that point. I'm still tying up some loose ends at Shelby as far as the all-region team, the all-area team, and the all-conference team for our kids. Again, giving them the best opportunity. And if that's one thing that I'm proud of is, we've had a number of kids, in the mid to high 20s that have gone on to play some type of level of football at the D2 or D3 level, so we're still working for the kids. And, we always have this saying, once a Tiger, always a Tiger, and I always would be. I tell you what, and it was strange when I took over at Shelby because coming from the rival school at heart, I was always, as a youngster and an athlete, that purple and white, that was the guys we wanted to go get. But it's a great family atmosphere there at Shelby, and I can't say nothing but the best about everybody there. And there's too many people to mention because I know I'll forget a few people here and there. There's so many that have been great contributors to what we've done there at Shelby. And again, we walk away proud with what we were able to accomplish at Shelby.
Thanks for joining us, Coach. We really appreciate it. Best of luck to you. Always great to talk to you, and have a great Thanksgiving. Stay safe.
You too. You also, Mike. Have a happy Thanksgiving and stay safe, man. We'll be talking.
Yep. See you. So we're getting close to Thanksgiving, and whether you're creating memories with your extended family or protecting them by spending time with people in your own household, I'd like to challenge each and every one of you in closing tonight to text someone, call someone that you're thankful for. It seems like these days we don't do that enough. We really only text someone if we need something, or if you're asking someone to hang out, or if we're mad at someone. Tonight, text someone, whether it's your mom, your dad, a family member, a best friend, current or former coach or teacher, someone that's had a positive impact on your life, and tell them why you appreciate them. I feel like we don't do that enough, and we really need to spread the positivity, because it'll make somebody's day if you send them a text, just a couple sentences telling them why you appreciate them, and make sure they know that they can count on you. Thanks for watching tonight's episode of Meekhof Primetime. We'll be back on Wednesday to discuss more high school sports news around the Muskegon area, so please tune in. Have a great Thanksgiving week, and please stay safe and keep the faith.